As we come together in Shavasana, laying down, with an active mind, we can close our eyes and focus on ourselves rather than everything outside of us. If you'd like to, interlace your fingers and place them over your belly. Take deep breath into your belly and push them up into your hands. Then when you exhale, keep exhaling longer than normal until your belly pulls away from your hands. Inhaling, pushing the belly up against the hands. Nobody can see, so let it puff out. Exhale, keep pulling, pulling, pulling until the belly comes away from the hands. Slowing down the breath longer than normal. This belly breath lowers our heart rate, cools our nervous system, lowers our blood pressure. Then relaxing the hands at your side. Imagine they were still on the belly and try to find a natural breath. So we can't breathe that deep the whole hour, but we don't want to do our short stress breath that we usually breathe. Find a natural, deeper than normal breath for you. And that can be your yoga breath for today. If it resonates for you, you can rest your hands on your heart, either stacking your hands or bringing them into prayer. On your next deeper than normal breath, tell yourself thank you for making the time to be here today. We all have busy lives, and hopefully coming out of the last year, we've discovered the value of scheduling times like this for ourselves. Taking a deep breath, giving gratitude for each person here that we're sharing space with today. And on the next deep breath, give thanks for this space that we're in today. This room, this building, and all the people behind the scenes that make it possible for us to be here today. As you're ready, give yourself a good morning stretch, reaching your arms up and overhead, pointing the toes, and find the arches, the space behind your neck, between your shoulder blades, low back, behind the knees, and the ankles. On the exhalation, try giving the right knee a hug. If your shoulders and neck are tight, you can bring your forehead to your knee and get some relief across the shoulders. These are just quick warm-up stretches. If you want to stay longer in one, feel free to do so. Grab the back of that leg and extend that leg towards the ceiling. Look up at your pretty feet. Move your toes. A lot of us don't think our feet are pretty, but to somebody who doesn't have a foot, you have the most beautiful foot in the world. Try all the movements of the ankle. Feel the back of your leg. Slowly lower the leg to the right. You can use your arm like a kickstand with your elbow underneath the leg. Or, for more flexy folks, maybe reach up, grab that big toe, but keep your left hand on the left hip so the pelvis doesn't move. As soon as the left hip rolls over, the low back takes over. We don't want the low back right now. Feel the stretch from your knee to your groin. Then bend the knee and bring the ankle across the left thigh for a reclining number 4. Slowly bend your left knee, pushing your right thigh away with your right hand. Or you can progress the number 4 pose if you'd like by picking up your left leg and holding it from behind as well. Remember to practice your own yoga. Don't worry about what your neighbor's doing. They have an entirely different body than you. Letting the legs come back down to the mat slowly. Inhale and reach your arms overhead for another big, long, full body stretch. See if you're lifting your chin and stretching your throat as well. Exhale, hugging in your left knee, maybe forehead to knee. Extending that leg up towards the sky, feeling the back of the leg. Look up at your beautiful foot and let your ankle play around. Feel the back of your leg. Then lowering the leg to the left for an inner thigh stretch. Keep your right hip stationary. Cross that ankle over the other thigh for the number 4. You can keep it laying down or thread the needle, pick up the back of that right leg. Remember your natural yoga breath, deeper than normal breath. This time as you release, instead of a big stretch, just hug both knees in. Give both knees a big squeeze, maybe forehead to knee. Squeeze tighter, 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 like you're going to cannonball into the swimming pool. Now keeping your knees close to you, try to push your tailbone into the mat, feeling a stretch across your SI joint, low back. Loosen up your grip, holding the back of the legs by the hamstrings, and tick-tock a little left and right, massaging that low back. Slowly lowering the knees to the right. Traditionally, we would put the arms out like airplane, but sometimes as an alternative, I like interlacing my fingers behind my head and pushing the elbows into the mat to stretch a tight chest and to open up under the underarms. So you choose what feels best for you. For a deeper stretch, the bottom ankle, which would be your right ankle, can rest on top of the left knee to get an even deeper low back stretch. The right ankle, the bottom ankle, counterintuitive, but the bottom leg ankle could rest on the top knee. If you want to challenge your core, stack your knees on top of each other again, and slowly lift your knees up through the air for a core challenge. or walk your feet along the mat to the other side to make life a little easier. You choose what you need today. Do whatever feels right with your arms. Find your breath. The most important part of our practice is that breath awareness, breath consciousness. I use that deep belly breath all the time on the highway. Just bring your right leg back over to the right, letting the bottoms of the feet touch. Dropping your knees apart in a reclined cobbler's pose. You can rest your hands on the inner thighs for a deeper inner thigh stretch, or you could just practice tucking your tailbone and flattening the low back here. Before we moved into the next posture, let your feet play with each other. Our hands, our left hand and right hand always touch, but our feet never really touch. Let your feet smooth against each other, wiggle your toes. I'm always amazed by the feet. They're so delicate. If you look at the anatomy of the feet, they're ridiculously fragile. But we jump out of bed and we use our feet to carry us everywhere we want to go. We use our feet to get away from places we don't want to be. Give your feet some gratitude for all the places you're going to go. Then, bringing the knees towards each other, step on your mat. Feel your mat under you, maybe tapping your feet, stimulating the nerves in your feet. It's okay to be a little kid. We don't have to be grown-ups right now. Just have some fun. Imagine that your mat was a pumice stone and you were going to sand the bottom of your feet by sliding forward and back. Try to get barefoot as often as you can, as long as it feels safe. So many nerve receptors in our feet, but those nerves hardly ever get stimulated. Let them get stimulated now. Then stepping the feet 1 foot's distance apart so the hips are aligned. That's one of your feet, your shoe sizes. Some of you think you wear size 14 shoes, but you don't. Bring your feet just one of your shoe sizes apart. So if you have a 9.5 size shoe, your feet are a 9.5 size shoe apart. Hands at your side. Just tuck the tailbone between your legs, feel your low back round. Then point your tailbone towards the floor and feel your low back arch. Do that one more time, just a little tuck. We're not lifting into bridge yet. And then round your back, pulling your low back away from the mat. Now that rounded feeling is what we do not want to feel in bridge. So as you put your low back down, inhale, lift your hips off the mat for bridge pose, making sure the low back doesn't take over. Squeeze your buttocks, inner thighs, and pull your navel in. See if you can expand through the chest as you push the hands and feet and shoulders down. If you feel your low back arching and taking over, try to lower a little and use your core. There's some great articles about the importance of keeping the neurological connection to our buttocks. When we lose our buttocks' strength and its ability to activate, we create all kinds of problems in our body, in the hips, low back, and legs. So let's fire up those glutes. Let your left buttocks relax and squeeze only your right buttocks now. So your right buttocks should feel like a coconut, and your left buttocks should feel like a coconut hanging out in a hammock. Now squeeze your left buttocks hard and let your right buttocks relax. Then squeeze both of your buttocks without getting into the low back. Squeeze tight, tight, tight. Big breath in through the chest. And slowly deflate your bridge, coming back down towards the mat with your hips. Walking the feet as wide as your mat, allow your knees to tick-tock a little left and right. Resetting that low back. When you're ready, hug both knees in, giving them a nice big squeeze, round up, forehead to knee. We'll begin to rock forward and back without the idea of sitting up yet, just thinking about massaging your long back muscles. Right in the middle of the back, the mid-thoracic spine, is where a lot of people create tension if we have to stand up a lot. Hit all the parts bilaterally on either side of your spine. Now let's take 3 rocks to sit up, stimulating our core. On your next exhale, sit up in a boat, holding the back of the legs, or if you're feeling really strong today, maybe no hands, mom. Inhale back, exhale, try to stop, put the brakes on for 3, 2, and last one. Stay there and hover and hold for 3, 2, 1. As you sit up, let's cross our ankles or find a comfortable seated pose. Maybe your body doesn't do this and you need to shoot a leg out to the side. Let's inhale, reach up high towards the sky. Exhale, find an easy twist to the right, looking back over that right shoulder. Inhale, slowly lifting up. Let's twist to the left. Just an easy twist, waking up that spine. Coming back up slowly with those arms. Reach down, grab your knees, and sit back, rounding your back. As you inhale, pull on those knees. Lift the heart, lift the throat, lift the chin. Exhale to round your back. Sit back like you're going to fall back. Inhale to sit tall. And exhale, slowly round. As you sit back up, we'll get our legs behind us, either swinging them around or coming up and over the legs. Walking the legs back, taking the knees as wide as the mat, child's pose. Bring your big toes to touch, sitting back towards your heels, stretching the arms out long. If that does not work for your knees or hips, come up to elbows for puppy dog pose. Now take those 3 long, deep breaths, making sure that you're remembering to focus on your body today. Stretch yourself as long as you can. Gripping the mat lightly with fingertips. Inhale, pull yourself up slowly. Walking the knees under the hips for table. Now here's a little tip about the wrist. After 18 years, my wrists are bothering me, and I think I could have done some things differently in my yoga practice to keep them from hurting. A couple of tips. Create a little arch in your palm like you had your hand on half of a tennis ball. And you've always heard us teachers say to stack your wrist, elbow, and shoulder, but what usually happens is our wrist gets behind the shoulder and then it's hyperextended and creates some tension. So just keep your shoulder slightly behind the wrist here. You can also fold up the front of your mat. Inhale, slowly look up, raise the head and tailbone and let that belly hang out. Exhale, pull the belly in and let that create the rounded shape of a happy cat. Inhale, slowly roll up to look up. Exhale, slowly round your back. Inhale to lift. Exhale to round. One more on your own, use your own breath. Coming into our neutral for thread the needle, reach that right arm up and make a jellyfish hand. Move your fingers and your wrist and your elbow and your shoulder. Then thread the needle, bringing the right arm underneath the left, laying way over on your right shoulder blade if you can. Use your left hand as a kickstand to push a little bit to the right. So your left hand's actually active, pushing you a little more to the right. Before coming out, just check and see if you're pinching your shoulder blade up by your ear. If you are, slide it away from your ear a little bit. Then use that left hand to come up slowly and circle your arm in some big windmills to loosen up that right shoulder. I love thread the needle, but it can compress the shoulder joint. Left hand, jellyfish hand. Play around with that wrist, elbow, shoulder. And thread the needle when you're ready, laying as far over to your scapula as you can. When you come out, circle that arm. Then we'll slide forward on our mat, slowly lowering ourselves down, walking our elbows forward under the shoulders for Sphinx Pose. Seal your legs up together. Push the tops of the feet, knees, and hips down. Pull the elbows back towards your hips as you press your breastbone forward, looking up. Stretch under the chin, down to the chest. Now when you do that deep belly breath, you can feel your belly push into the mat. There's a lot of research behind diaphragmatic breathing. Research it a little bit and see how it affects your body to breathe with the belly instead of the shoulders. Inhaling, slowly look up. Exhale, let's look down. Inhale, look left. Exhaling to down. Inhaling to the right. And exhale back to the center. Slowly release the posture. I like crossing my forearms to keep my neck in neutral, but you could also rest one ear on the mat. Then tuck your toes and just lightly tap your feet on the mat, stimulating those feet again. Tops of the feet back on the mat, seal up your inner thighs, and let's walk our thumbs back to our middle ribs in preparation for Cobra. When ready, inhale, roll the shoulders back and press your heart forward as you lift up a little higher. The elbows are bent in Cobra. The back is safe. A Cobra moves around. There was a great video yesterday from India of a big cobra standing up with its neck flared out, trying to get into a house, and the house cat sat there for half an hour and wouldn't let the cobra in. But it looked just like this. It was moving just like this. And when you're ready, slowly lower down, resting your neck in a neutral position. As you're ready, looking forward, walk the thumbs back to the middle ribs. You hear me say as you're ready a lot because if you don't want to move, don't move. It's not that kind of class. On your next inhalation, push the lower body down and either find a cobra, or if you're ready for something more, squeeze your buttocks and your inner thighs just like we did in bridge to lift up to up dog. Try to get your knees off your mat if you're lifting up. Roll those shoulders back, look up, open your heart. No competition. If you need to stay in Cobra, stay in Cobra. Slowly lower down on the exhale. This time, bending the knees, let your feet sway side to side. My dad's losing sensation in his feet from diabetes. There's sciatica, neuropathy, all kinds of reasons to keep our feet active and stimulated. Now, if you're ready for one more challenging back bend, find locust, extending your arms out and your feet wide. If you're joining me in locust pose, turn the thumbs up so I can see your palms, which opens up across the chest. Now, if that's too much, go back to your friendly Cobra or your Sphinx Pose. When ready, inhale, lift up, pressing the hip points down. Lift your arms, legs, and head if you can. Now, we're a locust, which is that bigger than grasshopper, and they fly through the air looking for their crop. So your back should be loose enough to move around. When ready, inhale, soar through the air, and exhale, find a resting pose. Placing the palms under your hands. Inhale, push away from the mat And exhale, knees wide, sit back, child's pose. There's another version of child's pose that's better for your back. If your back is achy, bring the knees together, hands by the feet, rounding your back